Well, being a mayor, it's a big job. So how are new mayors across the province feeling right now? Today on the show, we're going to be checking in with the newly elected mayors of Estevan, Moose Jaw, Yorkton and La Ronge. We'll hear about what's on their minds and the biggest issues facing their communities right now. We have a lot of ground to cover, so sit back and buckle up as we take you on a political road trip right through the province. If you live in one of Saskatchewan's smaller cities, we do want to hear from you today. We're taking emails. We're asking, what do you see as the most pressing issue in your community? Send us a note, bluesky@cbc.ca. Aaron Keenley narrowly lost a mayoral bid in Yorkton 4 years ago, but this time the Yorkton business owner was successful, beating out the incumbent Mitch Hipsley. He was sworn in on Friday. Mayor Keenley, welcome to Blue Sky. Hello.
Hey, thank you so much.
Thanks for being here. It's great to meet people in these new leadership roles. There's so much to learn, especially after so much campaigning and the listening that you did to people in your community. I just want to start with learning a bit more about you. What made you want to get involved in politics in the first place?
Well, I guess I've always had an interest in politics, even from when I was, a young child, teenager for sure. Spent lots of time listening to the radio, reading newspapers, and it was an interest of mine. Through my adult life, I got involved in small business. That's predominantly where I've been, is opening and purchasing or helping people run small businesses. And in the city of Yorkton is where I've predominantly done all of that. And so certainly what's going on in the city and how we can make it better was a big thing for me. And then it would have been, I guess, in 2012, 2011, I had some people contact me saying that they thought I would do a good job. I started sitting on a few committees inside of our city, and 2012 came and went, and I just didn't think I was ready or I was right for the position at that point. Growing family, lots of responsibilities. I just didn't think I could make it work. 4 years later, heading into 2016, the smoke had settled a little bit, and we thought that I was in a pretty good position where I could add this to the list of things that I was doing, and I really, really enjoyed it. Took it serious to learn and try to understand the roles and responsibilities of a council member, and so for 4 years I was on city council, and it was very rewarding. So I guess that would sum up why I'm back.
I'm curious what kind of businesses you've been part of.
Oh man, I guess the start of business was clothing. Was a clothing retail store, and then my background as a young person coming up was I played hockey in the winters and I skateboarded in the summers. And the culture of skateboarding was very much a part of my life and kind of how I identified. And so we didn't have at that time a lot of options in Saskatchewan as a whole, but certainly locally. And so we started with opening a clothing store that kind of had its roots in board culture, and then eventually moved into where it was a clothing skate shop. And at one point we had multiple locations for that store. But I've also owned a gym for 12 years. I owned a bar at one point, like a whole bunch of things. We currently have a wine store. So yeah, just a bunch of different businesses over the years.
So how do you think that will influence the type of mayor that you are? Like I'm thinking more of like from the business side of things, but I mean also being into skateboarding, like just you come with lots of layers. So how will that influence the type of mayor you'll be?
Yeah, I one of the things, just to be completely honest, one of the things that's always been a part of kind of my personality is thinking that I got to prove myself. I don't have a typical education like most people do. I grew up homeschooled, so lots of layers, like you said. But it brings something where I have a real desire to learn and a real desire to prove to people, whether they want to be proven to or not. I feel I have to show them that I can do the work, put in the time, and have successful outcomes. As far as what running a business or businesses over the years bring to the table, I certainly have empathy for the struggles of small business people, also the understanding of opportunity and how we can grow. Taking a lot of businesses that were just kind of getting by and somebody wanting to retire or looking to move on, and I purchased those businesses and implemented new practices and solutions and grown those businesses. So there's a lot both with communicating with people in our town that run or want to run businesses, but then also looking at what we do here at City Hall and kind of different set of eyes than maybe what's typically been there.
So you were a counselor, and in that time you were able to learn a bit about what it takes to be a mayor, because I didn't know this until today, but SUMA, the Saskatchewan Urban Municipalities Association, puts on a school to help people think about that role. Is that true?
So it was called the SUMA Mayor's Summer School, and this was something that the term was always thrown around with previous council and the current mayor. He was like, "Oh yeah, Mayor's Summer School." Whether that was continually what it was called, I know when I went in 2018, I believe it was like a super impactful seminar. It was a couple days. I got to stay on campus at the University of Regina, which was really fun for me, being that there's a bit of a disconnect between public education system and kind of how I've come up. So I loved it. I love sitting in those lectures, learning a whole bunch. You had the opportunity to take some different courses or listen in on some different sessions and see, what you could apply to your work as a counselor. And then I do think that there was certainly the opportunity there to kind of understand more about the roles and responsibilities of not just council, but also of a mayor. And through those kind of years, like probably around that time and then moving towards 2020, I was just kind of looking around the room, knowing that I felt to be a good, effective mayor, and no offense to anybody that's their first stop in council chambers is the mayor's chair. But for me, I really felt that with what we had going on in Yorkton, I wouldn't think that would be the best. You'd want to go through being a councillor and then becoming a mayor. And so then again, looking around our council table, and not for lack of experience or knowledge, but more the fact that I've kind of built my whole life on being able to kind of multitask, but also prioritize what's coming up and have spare time. I haven't spent a lot of my life on a rigid schedule. So I knew I could fit it into what I was doing. And so then it was just a matter of like putting in the work, understanding what I would need for skills and what I could bring to the table. And so I got myself to that point, I felt, in time to announce that I was going to run for the 2020 election.
So interesting. Okay, so you had that experience on council. This was not the first time you were hearing about the issues that matter to people in the city. But on the campaign trail, what kind of surfaced as the top issues for folks?
Right now in town, I mean, there's lots. There's everything from the typical stuff like your streets and roads and infrastructure funding and how are we going to, it's a problem for all of us. And then certainly something that I would say is relatively, I shouldn't say it's new, but it's a bit newer to me. We weren't hearing as much about this 4 years ago, and that would be in conjunction with houselessness, social issues surrounding that, addiction. Those were things that, I mean, they're always there, but it wasn't front of mind in the campaign 2020 versus 2024. So there's certainly work that needs to be done there, and a better understanding of what partnerships we can build and grow to help us with that would be one example.
What does that look like in Yorkton? I haven't been to Yorkton in quite a while. I live in Saskatchewan. I know what it looks like here in a bigger city. So how does that present itself in Yorkton?
Yeah, and to me it was, I mean, not that I was naive, but to me it was a bigger city problem. There were always, a couple people rolling around our community that you knew were in a tough place. But that was kind of about it. And you knew, like, one time with our bar, we had somebody that was camping out on the flat rooftop. And I was like, man, that's crazy. Like, this was a total one-off to me. I would say that beginning last late spring, just as a person who's kind of running around town with the businesses and with kids and with all that, you started to like physically notice more like something's going on here. We do have a homeless shelter, and so there obviously was a need for that, and it was something that had been talked about, years ago. But now you're seeing like, oh, this is really a situation. We're seeing like addictions. They're always there. They've always been there, and they affect every one of us and our families. But you didn't see it in the parks, and you didn't see it in the alleys. It just wasn't something that was physically in front of you. And certainly, like I said, I think starting last summer, I started to really take note of this. And it's it's progressively gotten, like, I hate to say it, but it's gotten more difficult. And so this is certainly something that's front of mind and something that our fire chief is working on an initiative to kind of help that. We've got a lot of different groups that maybe weren't in that space that are now having to kind of help carry the load.
I just have one last question, and I don't expect you to have it all figured out just yet, but I am curious what your strategy might be, because I know that SUMA as an organization has really spoken out and called on the province, saying we need more in our mid-sized cities as well. It's not just Regina and Saskatoon. So do you have a sense of what your strategy will be to try to draw attention to what's happening in Yorkton?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I just want to get in front of some stakeholders here in our community and better understand what's going on. I did meet with the manager of our shelter here and really wanted to understand, where is funding coming from? Where are the shortfalls? And, for us, it's like we have this kind of entry point for this community, but we don't have a lot of the transitional points that keep going until you have somebody that's re-entering the workforce or back on their feet, or we don't have housing. We don't have those types of things. So again, I think to better understand the situation, first thing I need to do, and then start to make a plan, but also work with, again, the provincial government would be a perfect example of, like, talk to our MLA, find out who the contact should be for me to kind of keep doing that work of advocating for our community.
Okay, well, I know we'll talk again. This has been a great introduction to you and the work you're going to do in Yorkton. So congratulations, and thank you so much for being a guest today.
Yeah, thanks, Alicia. I appreciate it.
That is Aaron Keenley, the new mayor of Yorkton. Now, Moose Jaw also has a new mayor. James Murdoch was chosen as the city's mayor in a convincing fashion. He defeated a veteran councillor and the incumbent mayor. And he'll be joined at the council table by experienced councillors who were re-elected or returned to office after a hiatus. And so we've got Mayor Murdoch with us right now. Welcome to Blue Sky.
Well, thank you, Alicia. Appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah, and I want to learn more about you, but I just want to pick up on what we were hearing from the mayor in Yorkton. I'm curious what the situation is in Moose Jaw. My understanding is that you're dealing with a lot of the same social issues that Yorkton, that just talked about in Yorkton. Is that true? Like, does that resonate with you, what you're hearing from that mayor?
Yeah, no, Aaron, really made some good, good comments there, and it's an issue, I think, for all communities. And, we're, as you mentioned, Leisha, the Saskatoon Reginas seem to get more of the attention, but it's definitely, we know that, that the, hostless, it is here, and we're going to come together and work on that and collaborate with the right people, because we know we want people in Moose Jaw to feel that they know that they can contribute. We just have to give them the opportunity, to make the correct choices and to give them the guidance that they need on a daily basis, instead of each day being sent out where possibly enablers are that continue to try and draw them back in. So, but we have a great support group here in Moose Jaw, like with not-for-profits that are doing tremendous work. We have a strong church presence, with tremendous volunteers. But I really do want to collaborate with the provincial government, and our local MLAs, because we need their help. This is it's too much for one community to take on, and when it comes to the funding aspect, and because.
Where does it fit on your priority list? Like, I'm curious, because I brought it up first, but that doesn't mean it was the number one thing coming up. So where does this fit on your list of priorities, just out of curiosity?
Oh, it would be one of the top ones. When I was campaigning, for the last 4 weeks, it was definitely being mentioned by, the community and citizens. And, there's a strong need. We know that. And it will take good people coming together to come up with the proper solution or solutions. So,
what other major issues are facing Moose Jaw right now?
Well, Leisha, once again, on the campaign, and I talked to a lot of people, and something that was being communicated back to me was that the people, they wanted to have that sense of their voice is being heard by the city. And because I think they just felt that for far too long, their thoughts have just been falling on deaf ears. So that's something that I really want to work on, is just focusing on open communication, transparency, and letting people know that their ideas and opinions matter, and I want to hear them. I'm that person to do it, and so they just need that sense of, I don't want to say belonging, but just that we got to regain some faith back, that we're here for them.
So there was an appetite for change? I mean, that was something, I think we're hearing about that not just in Saskatchewan, right, across the board, but Moose Jaw?
I would say that there likely was, and that the citizens felt that, maybe with my fresh face, my fresh ideas, in being able to work with knowledgeable counselors, that we can move the city forward. And I'm not saying that everything was bad or dire, but I think we just need to tweak some things and to set the city up, for future generations to come.
So tell me a little bit about the experience that you bring to this role.
Okay, well, this is the first time that I ever entered my name into any level of politics, but I've always been a person for the community. Right from growing up in my small, rural hometown of Central Butte, where we farmed, it was instilled in me at a young age, of belonging to a community and knowing how valuable friends and neighbors are, and that it's okay to rely on friends and neighbors when need be. So I had that at a very young age, and also I saw that you have to give back. And then as, I progressed, got older, I realized I knew that the funeral profession was my calling. So
that's what you've done for many years, right? You worked in the funeral business. Yeah, wow.
33 years. So, okay. And just recently stepped back from that career, which was my passion. It's all I knew.
Yeah.
But a little bit of a 2-year hiatus kind of allowed me to, if I can say it this way, Alicia, maybe decompress, just dedicate time, to my lovely family. My presence was always in the community because I was on numerous not-for-profits, like with a couple of health foundations and, another not-for-profit where we raise funds for children, mental health initiatives in schools. So I was out of the profession, but I was still here. Mm-hmm. But as I said, my heart is all about community, and I felt that because of my break professionally, I could. Now was the time for me to step up and fully commit, and that I'm ready.
Today on Blue Sky, we are meeting some of the mayors of our mid-sized cities. So we're reaching out to people in Yorkton. The mayor of Moose Jaw is with us right now. And in a moment, we'll hear from the mayor of Estevan and the mayor of La Ronge. Our question for you is, if you live in one of Saskatchewan's smaller cities, what do you see as the most pressing issue facing your community? So if you're in Meadow Lake, North Battleford, Lloydminster, you probably have something different that's top of mind for you, and we'd like to hear about it. So send us an email, bluesky@cbc.ca. Right now, I am speaking with the mayor of Moose Jaw, James Murdoch. Mayor Murdoch, what's your first order of business as mayor? You were sworn in. When was that? Is today your first day? Official day?
You checked today at 4 p.m.
Today at 4 p.m. Okay.
Yeah. So okay. I'm still, just mayor-elect.
Mayor-elect. Okay. So 4 o'clock, what's the first order of business?
Oh, well, I must say I am really looking forward to working with this group of council people. These are good people, and I know that they have the same vision as myself in having nothing but the best intentions for the city of Moose Jaw. So kind of, within the first, I'll say the 30 days, I just want to focus on teamwork for our group, and we're going to do this together. It's just not one individual or one entity. This will take teamwork. And then, of course, that's going to, broaden out to, of course, developing a strong team concept with our administration here at City Hall and with all the workers. I mean, we have really good people here that, are part of the city of Moose Jaw employee-wise, that are not based out of City Hall, but are in other facilities and buildings throughout, the city. So we just have to involve everyone, and we will. So that's going to be my first, right out of the gate. We're going to be going into budget talks here soon, so that will be an experience.
No doubt.
But I'll be asking a lot of questions, Leisha. I can assure you that. But no, it's good. And then boy, we're going to be here with the new year, and it's going to be exciting times for us. It really is. Yeah,
well,
it really is.
It's so great to have this introduction like this, and it's kind of our way to say, okay, we'll want you back on the show again. We'll have follow-up questions at a later date. So thank you. This
is awesome. Thank you for the time. And
well, have fun at 4:00.
I will be thinking of you. Thank you.
Thanks. Take care.
Okay.
Bye. That's James Murdoch, the newly elected mayor of Moose Jaw. Well, let's head now north to La Ronge. Joe Hordesky returns as mayor of La Ronge. He has about 15 years of council experience. He even tried to retire once, but he has decided to take on another 4-year term. And so I'd like to welcome the mayor of La Ronge to Blue Sky. Hello, Mayor Hordesky.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here. I've been in the municipal game since 1991. I first got elected and ended up did a couple of terms, and then first ran for mayor in 97 and remained the mayor for 12 years until 2009.
Okay.
So you've got
okay. Tell me, that's interesting. That is a very unique perspective to have. So what is different in 2024 as you take on this new term compared to previous years?
Well, we've kind of used up most of the usable land, so now it's a little bit more challenging in regards to subdivision development and extending the business community. So we're looking at really high cost to develop those things, and it's quite a drain on our capital budget. And we do need to grow business because we need to get the tax base up there. But some of the things, housing is one of the things that really hold back business development, and also we're really lacking daycare. We could put a couple more 100 spaces and still not fully service the need. So it's that part is quite challenging.
Those are two really challenging and interesting things to be facing, the need for more housing and the need for childcare. Because if you're trying to attract people to La Ronge, those are two things that they quite likely will need. And I understand that there is a long-term care facility under construction in La Ronge right now, and you're going to have to staff that. So tell me about how all those things intersect and the problems the challenge that you face in trying to get people up to La Ronge to work and to live.
Well, we do have a housing strategy that we've undertaken. We did apply for some funding through the federal program. We've applied the first round and we're unsuccessful, but I think the first round was more for basically the 2x4s and not the pipe in the ground. And we're in a state where we really need to get that subdivision put in place, and so we're hoping that that we can be successful on the second take.
You told me, did I get this number written down correctly, that you need about 350 doors in order to accommodate everybody who, or is that's the projection that your community has right now of what kind of housing requirements are needed right now?
Well, if you include right now, if we've got, we're talking earlier, the other mayors were talking about the houseless people. When you look at houseless, not everybody on the street is houseless. There's a lot of them that don't have their own house, but they live with extended family or friends. So if you take, their need into account, plus, the long-term care facility, you're looking at 137 full-time positions. There's Northern Light School Division, health services, right across the board. There's, these entities are being held back because they can't bring people up because there just isn't enough housing for them. We recently had a contractor providing more housing for the RCMP, some rental units, and that's really helped us attract more mature RCMP officers that are not coming straight out of academy, and that's made a significant difference. So it's baby steps, but we just gotta get all the players together, and we're offering incentives, tax breaks and those types of things to attract developers to come into the community and provide that for us.
It's quite expensive to build in the north, isn't it?
Well, we had a subdivision that was developed about 7 or 8 years ago, and the cost per lot was at $60,000. We had 14 lots that were registered under that same subdivision plan, but we're not done at the same time. So we had an estimate done on that, and it's pretty much doubled. It's like about almost 120,000 to develop that same area. So
the prices have gone up. Also, I'm wondering about how prices have gone up when it comes to people's, basic needs like groceries. And I want to reference the fact that we learned about these 27 cases of scurvy in La Ronge, and doctors there say it's complicated. It's tied to a lot of different things, but obviously people's access to affordable fruits and vegetables is definitely one piece of it. What is the cost of living right now, Mayor, in La Ronge, and how is that affecting people?
Well, I think, they keep talking about 2% inflation, but, I've tracked many items that I buy, and I was just in the store yesterday, and apples, for example, were anywhere from $3 to $4 a pound. I can afford it. I can put it on my table, but, there's so many people that could never make that choice because they just, just to sustain their families, they can, it seems the fruits and vegetables are kind of a luxury, and that should never be that way. And that's the biggest driver of scurvy is the the type of food you take in, shortage of vitamin C, which they get out of fruits.
There's a lot of big challenges that await you as mayor this time around. Why do you want to do the job?
Well, actually, when I was re-elected 4 years ago, I didn't directly go into the mayor's chair. I was too busy because I am a contractor. I build houses. I'm trying to be part of the solution, I guess. But the town had gone through a bad period where they had let an administrator go, and things got to the point where they brought outside administration in, and that's the reason I came back to the table. And we've really turned things around. We've got such a strong management team, and things are running well, and I'm enjoying it. Like it makes my job so easy when you have people that are doing the background work and really putting options on the table for addressing some of these issues. So it's and I we didn't have anybody elected on our council. Everybody was in by
Claimed?
acclamation, but we
Yeah.
were very fortunate to have the team in place that we do. They're very. I think we got a great council.
Well, it's been great to meet you. And like I've said to everybody, we will talk again. We'll check back in with you once you've done a bit more work. Great to have you on the show today, Mayor. Take care.
You bet. Okay.
That is Mayor Joe Hordesky from La Ronge. Now, we are off to Estevan next, where there is a new mayor for the first time in 12 years. After 30 years on city council, longtime Mayor Roy Ludwig did not run again, and Anthony Cernick beat out two other candidates to take Estevan City Council's top job. Cernick was sworn in as mayor on Friday, and he joins us right now. Mayor Cernick, welcome to Blue Sky.
Thank you. Appreciate being here.
Yeah, it's great to hear from you and to hear about some of the issues that other communities are facing. Again, this wasn't new to you on the campaign because you were a city councillor, but what were the issues that dominated council this last year?
Basically, the elephant in our room is we are the energy city. We're surrounded by oil and gas, but we've been in the power production game with coal for the last 150 years. And as we all know, obviously the end of life of coal is coming. They call it 2030, but just one of the reasons why I got involved is just wanted to help out with that, see what we can obviously bring. So there is some positives that have came out about with the government saying we're going to utilize coal until the SMRs are fully built and operating here. That's what we like. So that's another optimistic turn of events the last couple of years, as Estevan has been chosen as the first site for small modular reactors. So again, there's some optimism there. So
what's the timeline on those SMRs right now?
So we've been chosen as the site, and they're hoping that actually 2029 there'll be announcements with construction starting. I'm guessing they're probably 3 or 4 year projects, whether they build 1 or 2 300 megawatt units. So again, that's not some more optimism. Like I said, we're the energy city, and we want to remain that way for sure.
Yeah, I think your slogan, or what you've been saying, is that, yeah, we are the energy city, and I plan to keep it that way. So SMRs is part of it, but what else?
We've been chosen. There's a 100 megawatt solar farm in 2026, 2027, somewhere in there. But a few years back, obviously with we've been getting some coal transition money. It's called, the city started up, a Southeast Tech Hub, we call it. It's there to help startup companies. It's there to go looking for anything we can attract. So again, if we can have coal power production for the next 10, 15 years, we'll take that. But also we have a few other projects where the University of George Washington University is actually looking in where they're going to turn our coal into graphite. 30% of EV batteries are made up with graphite. So again, there's some optimism. There's another company looking at turning the coal into hydrogen, and where that goes from there. And then we also have another company wanting to build a biomass power plant, like a 50 megawatt power plant, burning the crops that farmers can't use anymore, right? So,
wow. Again, so you are very much at the cusp of serious change, possibly. Like you've listed off several different things. What would you say is the mood right now in your city? Like as you were door knocking, people are very aware that this is the reality. How would you describe the mood?
Yeah, from 4 years ago to today, it was really the attitude was down and out, 2019, 2020. And then now it's more positive attitude. And people express that that's what they want going forth. We don't want to, again, we know the end of coal is coming, but again, we don't want to live in the world of negativity. People want to move on. And so do have multiple things happening. And again, hopefully the coal projects do come about and keep all the coal miners working as well. That's our goal.
So what do you think prompted the turnaround? Like, what sparked the positivity?
Again, the tech hub, but again, just bringing the attitude. That's one thing I wanted to bring. That's why I got involved when I started this political journey, was just for that. I didn't like the attitude. I'm not saying it's all me, but I would say our last council did come together, obviously with the Southeast Tech Hub, and just a few good things happening, little by little, and that's the turnaround for sure.
What's the ripple effect of some of this? Like, I'm just curious what the population is like right now in Estevan. I think you're very familiar with boom times. Just like, what is the situation right now? Are you seeing population growth still?
Yeah, we're definitely up and down. We've been hovering. I think in the boom times when we were building carbon capture, that's one thing I did forget to mention, is we do have a carbon capture project. But when that was being built, at the same time, oil was booming. I think we got up to almost 14, 15,000, dropped back down to 10,000 with everything that's happened over the past few years. So
wow, that's quite a significant drop.
Yeah.
That's a drop.
And I'm guessing we're back up to 1,000. Realtors are saying that, a house comes up for sale and there's almost a little bit of a bidding war. So obviously that's good news. Hasn't been too much new building happening, but again, that's hopefully going to happen in the next few years, because again, our city is probably sitting in the best spot it has ever have into a boom. Normally we get into a boom and then we're trying to catch up with infrastructure, but right now we're sitting in a very good place with infrastructure, and we have what the world wants: land and water. So although there's not much projects going on right now, we have the land, we have the water, and again, the infrastructure is looking good to support the next boom. We're ready for the next boom.
Hearing from other mayors in other parts of the province, one of the things that tends to dominate the conversation is a lot of social issues, housing, homelessness, drug use. Is any of that affecting Estevan?
It's always there, but I would say, again, it's there. Don't get me wrong. But obviously, when you go to other communities, it's not as prevalent or whatever. You don't see as much of it. Again, it's here, but again, we're sitting in a good spot. We did have there was one place actually with a storm that was probably housing, I think there was 5 or 6 apartments in there, where the building actually, through the storm, the roof blew off it. So it got abandoned, if you will. So those people were looking, and then there was another project in our downtown, a low rental, if you will. And so it just, for different reasons, it got shut down too. So there was a little bit where we were, but I think we found places for them, and hopefully help people out that way. So again, it's there, don't get me wrong, but it's not a pressing issue, that's for sure.
What other pressing issues are there in Estevan? I want to ask you, there was a plebiscite during the election on a new rink. It didn't pass, but Estevan minor hockey is hopeful they can still make it happen. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, and that's kind of the positivity that people, because everybody's, well, why would we build anything if we're going to be a ghost town? And that's where the attitude's coming. There was a plebiscite on the arena, so we're looking for a new arena. We're looking for a new field house. There's another group looking for a pool, and there's another group looking for a pickleball court, right? So it's just kind of, again, that's the optimism that people want to see the city moving forward. So it's all good. And the plebiscite, it did kind of get voted down, if you will, but I do believe 40% out of 2,700 voters is still a pretty good showing. It just shows that there is some sort of appetite for it out there, right? So
how do you
40% approval rate, that would be totally different. But again, 40% is pretty optimistic. But again, it's whichever group is that's how things get built in Estevan, as a group of citizens get together, come up with a plan, and then they address city council. And that's what we expect. Whichever one you want, form your group and bring it to council.
Maybe it will be pickleball that comes out ahead. I've asked every other mayor what experience they bring to the job, and I haven't really had a chance yet to ask you what you did previous to this and how that experience will shape your job as mayor.
Yeah, again, been a counselor for 4 years, but at that time, just the mentorship of Roy Ludwig, who was, in the city for 30 years, mayor for 12 years, that helped out. he's always there to answer any questions. But just in my professional career, I guess I've been in the oil field for 30 years. And half of that time I was spent in a startup company managerial role, area manager, and then got through at that company, turned it into, well, not, I don't want to say I turned it into, I was part of a team. It was an international company. And then in 2018, I joined another startup company just as business development. So and I've been in that role since 2018. So that's the experience that I bring as don't want to say I've done it all, but pretty close.
So where do you get your positivity from? It can be hard when there's a disruption in an industry. Like, I think there's many similarities between, like, there's been disruptions in media. It's tough, right? Like, it can really get you down. So where do you find your positivity?
It just comes from dealing with the adversity of the oil field. It is probably not the easiest place to make a career out of, that's for sure, with the ups and downs. But I've lived through 3 or 4 ups and downs just with the oil field, and have always come out on top. So that's just where it comes from.
I want to ask you about downtown Estevan, because this comes up a lot when we talk to mayors. It's a conversation in Saskatoon. It's a conversation in Regina. What's the conversation in Estevan? I guess you're in the midst of some revitalization projects. Just tell me how important that work is.
Yeah, and it's coming along. Obviously, the whole project kind of wanted to get done this year, but there was lots done, so it's going to carry over into the next year. But it does. There was lots of support for it. There was lots of opposition to it as well. So it was good to go through that and the learning experience of being part of a big project like that. That's one of the situations where you think you might know stuff going into it, and then as you progress through it, it's like, oh yeah, okay. So it's again just a big learning curve.
Like what though? Like, what was the opposition?
Well, it was a big project again, and again, that's the positivity versus, you know what I mean, the wanting to, I guess, think that your town is dying, if you will. So just trying not to spend that money, but at the end of the day, what it was is we were responsible for all the pipes and everything underneath, and that's what I really like about anything. I'm boring that way. I'm infrastructure, pipes, roads, sidewalks, all that stuff, right? So the pipes and everything are going to be done for the next 50 years. It's the above ground. There was another coal transition money that came into the play is really why the project happened, where at the end of the day, we put in 20% for the below ground, and then we were given a grant for the remaining 80% to finish the top. So that's for just all the adversity. And kind of what happened too is that this all came about as a council. We inherited this project, if you will, but it was applied for in 2021, 2022. And there was actually a 2-year gap from the application, for the grant until it got approved. So there was that 2-year gap in there. And obviously we lived through COVID and all that sort of fun stuff. So I think things got forgotten about and kind of just felt that it was getting pushed through. But again, it's going to be great. Like I said, what excites me the most is the pipes and everything are done for the business in downtown. We should be good for the next 50 years there in the above ground. Once it's all done and stuff, I think it's just going to be a game changer. Our 4th Street is what it's called. It's actually our main street downtown. But, for 30 years, it served as the highway through our city, where we do have a bypass around our city now. So it's not a highway anymore. And I think that's where just lots of the controversy came from as well. So.
I think it's a very good thing to have a mayor who's interested in infrastructure, who finds that kind of stuff interesting. Yeah. That's probably a really good quality to have.
Call me boring. I'll take it.
Really great to meet you today. And I do hope we can talk again. I really appreciate the time and learning a bit about what's going on in Estevan right now. So thank you.
You betcha. Thank you.
Take care. And congratulations on being the newly elected mayor of Estevan. I didn't say that off the hop. So congratulations.
Appreciate it.
That is Anthony Cernick, the newly elected mayor of Estevan. He is replacing Roy Ludwig, who did not seek re-election after serving as a councillor and then mayor for the last 30 years. I'm Alicia Gravinsky. It has been very interesting traveling the province today to connect with mayors right across Saskatchewan. We got an email from Dennis, who's the new mayor of Rostern. So Dennis writes, Thanks for your conversation today with new mayors in smaller Saskatchewan cities. The challenges addressed by your guests resonate with many, if not all, urban municipalities of all sizes. As the mayor of the town of Yorkton, having been acclaimed my 4th term along with my new council and administration, we are very aware of the range of challenges presented on Blue Sky today, be they housing challenges, healthcare access, massive infrastructure replacement, and capital projects, along with operating challenges and how to pay for it all. Along the way, I'd suggest all municipal mayors and council want to see their communities succeed and be welcoming places for all their citizens. Daunting, but rewarding journeys for everyone involved. That is from Dennis Helmuth, who is mayor in the town of Yorkton. Dennis, thanks so much for writing. I really appreciate that.